Shit coffee I drank over there.
Welcome to The Collective, where every conversation ignites a new perspective. Join us as we delve into the journeys of remarkable individuals, explore the art of growth, resilience, and the power of a shared mission as we strive to be better together. Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Workshop. This is episode 2 of the new name. Very excited for this one. Shaun is still a little jet lagged. I'm still a little tired, but we are kicking ass all the same, and I am stoked for this. Now, while I am stoked, y'all should be too. Make sure you're liking the show, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, do all the good stuff, get your emails when we go live, which is, of course, Wednesdays for the workshop and Fridays for the collective. And then, of course, make sure that you are signed up for the reinforcement loop. That is our weekly newsletter that's going to be getting running very quickly now that we have shows being live again. And I am apparently losing my voice, but doing well. So we're going to get into a really interesting topic that I had a bit of an epiphany when I was training. But first, I want to check in with Shaun. How you doing, man? It's been 4 or 5 days now. You've been home for a little while.
Yeah.
How's it feeling?
Yeah, better. Getting a little bit more into the regular sleep pattern, though I am still jet lagged. So I was up at like 02:30 or whatever it was this morning. And that's just the way it goes for a few days. And as we were saying just before we came into this, as we were saying in the green room, like I was halfway around the world. It was a 17-hour time change. And, that's just something that takes a while to readjust to. The general rule of thumb, and everyone's a bit different, but the general rule is along the lines of for every hour change, it'll take about a day for you to get back in rhythm again. So, 17-hour diff, 17 days to change. I think that's a bit much, but that's kind of what you're looking at generally.
Yeah, no doubt. And on top of that, with the new year and the change and the travel and the stress and the movement and all these things, it just adds on top of it, all the things kind of.
But I'm not like it's no big deal. It can be worked through, of course,
Mhm.
and it's not like there's troops that are doing it on the regular and halfway around the world and then bouncing back and then doing their regular hard job, and so who am I to complain?
Well, I mean, you
I
are
might. No
perhaps.
one will care. That's
No,
for sure.
there you
Nor
go. I
should
was
they.
gonna say, you can complain all you want, whether or not people listen. Couple comments here. Catherine Hirschfeld jumped in here. Good to see you. Hear you both. Good to see you. Dan C jumped in here. Good morning, gentlemen. Ass kickers engaged. Absolutely. And I'm interested to know, for those that are watching, how are you guys feeling with the changeover into the new year? I know I find it a little discombobulating for a couple of days. I always find it because of the fact that the kids are home, my wife is home, everyone's kind of chilling. There's a almost sense of hibernation for a little bit during the new year changeover, and then it's like Monday morning back to work. Here we go. So it always takes me a couple of days to get like right with it. But for those watching, I want to know, how do you guys feel about it? Shaun, how has it been for you? Just chill?
Yeah, I never get that feeling at all.
You know?
But my phase of life is different than yours, and so, man, where were we? Do you know where we were for New Year's Eve? This is a fun little story. So we were right downtown, like Centersville of Tokyo, and it's like it's a place that goes off. Like there's all the troops are getting after it with the cans of beer and all the stuff, and so um, we decide that what we're gonna do is go watch the new Avatar movie just released.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a show that starts at what was it, 8:30 or something like that, 9 o'clock, and the show runs for over 3 hours. So it was like countdown to midnight. I see Evan kind of he's on his phone and he's eyeballing. There's a few minutes left. Keegan's kind of trying to be all stealth as well. Doreen's like totally into Avatar. I'm kind of stealthing it as well, and so bang at midnight. Everyone was like engaged, knuckle bumps and all of that good stuff, and then we're straight back to watching Avatar. And so we get out of Avatar, and as we're coming down this big escalator, looking out onto this area, which again is essentially the center of Tokyo. I mean, it's not quite it's not like a war zone, but the troops have been like, and they're
Giving her.
still giving her. And so, we walk through it, and as just a little 4-man patrol, and I'm taking photos and kind of eyeballing the scene, and we're all like in it. And we got to the train station to head back to where our hostel was. I think we got on the train at about 1:30 in the morning, and I mean crammed on. And like the trains weren't running super dupe. They don't run out 24/7.
Right.
So like I wasn't into walking, and so we get on that bad boy, and I think we were into our hostel by just after 0200 hours. So not a typical
Quite a night, though.
New Year's Eve. I mean, that's not something that is the norm, but for our family, I guess it's not uncommon for us to do something not odd, but something out of the norm, perhaps,
Yeah.
for New Year's Eve.
Hmm. I quite like that. It's it lends itself to today's conversation quite well in the fact that just being there through that situation and managing it as you go through time um, can be a bit of a mantelpiece moment. It's something you get to look back on and
Mm, for
put in
sure.
your own little mantle in your head. And I want to get your first thoughts on it before we dive into too many stories. I'm going to hit you with the same line I always use. When you first saw the email this morning and you were like, a mental mantle, what does that even mean? What were your first thoughts? What kicked off?
So, things that go up on the mantelpiece are typically there to, I believe, ground a person or have a person sink into a moment in time. It could be as recent as just a few months ago, but usually if it's up on the mantelpiece, it's going back 10, 15, 20, maybe 30, 40 years, maybe 2 or 3 generations prior. So there's some sort of historical timeline attached to the mantelpiece. And most often than not, a mantelpiece is not massive. And so anything that goes on the mantelpiece kind of has some, I don't know, it's got some juice to it. It's got something of importance. And that importance might not be, not everything is equally scaled. And there's no winners or losers on the mantelpiece. There's no like, that's the number one thing on the mantelpiece, because that'll ebb and flow with the week, with the month, with the year, with the life. And so, a mantelpiece is pretty interesting. So when I thought of it, the word, I thought about, I've had several mantelpieces throughout my life in different houses. And now our mantelpiece, as it were, is managed differently than it used to be 20, 30 years ago. But all of that said, there's a mantelpiece out there, but then there's a mantelpiece kind of right next to me as well. And so that one isn't above a fireplace, and it doesn't look like a mantle, but to some degree, it it holds the same maybe characteristics as a mantelpiece. There's aspects of it that have memories attached to them, or certain sort of totems, if you will,
Mhm.
that kind of keep me in check or keep me on the straight and narrow, just as things should, I believe, on a regular mantelpiece, kind of keep you sort of humble pied up by 2 or 3 generations prior. That's my long answer.
No, and I dig it. That it's a great place to start. And I'll give you the reason why I picked this as a topic for you and I to hit on today because I was at the gym and I was working out and I looked up and I saw the array of medals and trophies and things for all the people that have won, and there was a little layer of dust on a couple of them,
Oh
and,
yeah.
and it made me think about it like that little bit of mantle dust signifies something because like yes, it's good to have those touchstones, it's good to have those things and trophies and keepsakes and memories and stuff, but do we need to like constantly be looking at them and reviewing them and going over them over and over and over and over again throughout our lives, or can we be okay with the fact that there's dust on the side of it and not worry too much about it? And before we get too deep into it, I just want to hit a couple of comments. Walker Seeley jumped in here and said, yo, good to see you, buddy. And then Dan C says, 2025, we came to the realization that time is still moving on and the rest will be just for us. for just us. There will be life changes. Just let time give us our hour. Yeah, it's a great way to look at the new year, man. Be chill. It's a good way to do it. Um, so, and I was thinking about, well, then with the idea of mantle dust, what do you think? Where do you put your, how often do you dust off your mantelpiece is really the question I have for you.
Well, my stance has been like this for a long time, and to some degree, and this is a cautionary tale, if you will, to any parent out there, and to you, Chance, by the way. What I do is something that now my boys do, and so I don't really pay much attention to the bells and whistles. I don't hang things up. I don't have things presented. This cork board off to my right flank here, that didn't exist up until just what I guess maybe 3 years ago now ish, and I just never had any of that stuff displayed. It's not that they weren't important to me. It's just the phase of my life or whatever. I just didn't have anything presented. And so, kind of started off casually, filling the cork board, and now it's something that I quite like. But that's not me up until recently. And so, any medals that I won from racing or from whatever, um, I just never displayed them. They just usually went in a bag or went in the garbage. I mean, that's terrible, but I just don't hang on to those things. And so our boys also picked up the same habit. So they'd be winning in biathlon, or they'd be winning in skiing, or in Brazilian jiu jitsu, or bike racing. Like they were medal winners, and so they also, they just hang it off the end of their bed until like it was a big wad of medals, and then that kind of got dumped into a laundry bag, which is wherever. And so like the boys just didn't, they weren't about that. And so, Evan has a boatload of medals that are just hung up in the in Roslyn Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Club, which is a good place for them. But neither boy cared about the display, and and they have such a lack of care for the maybe the tangible worth of a medal that to some degree I feel like it's gone a little too far the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To the point that they almost can't savor that moment or don't have the I can't think of the word right now, but I get what you're saying, and I think uh, to to one side of it, it would be good to not have anything, almost nothing on your mantelpiece, because then it really the things that are on there become super important, right? But
Hmm.
it can also go the other side, and it can be so cluttered, like you said, with the just a bundle of metals that don't really have any defined meaning or long term meaning in that instance. So I find this whole thing kind of fascinating, and I know I look at my I look at my son's desks, or I look at his room right now, and he's got stuff everywhere. It's all up the walls, it's all down the things, and he really likes to have those little keepsakes. And I've slowly gotten rid of all of mine. They just filter out, and then I have two or three key things that I keep with us. So I guess maybe my question for you is, how do you define what goes on the mantle, please, or what goes on the mantle versus what stays off?
I think that again probably changes with the phases of life. What's important now will not be important 20 years from now. And so I think the mantelpiece should change. That's more telling to me about
Mhm.
a situation is if there's so much dust on everything on the mantelpiece, it's been up there for so long that the mantelpiece isn't being thought about. It
Mhm.
isn't it isn't understood for what it is, or what it's supposed to represent, or how it's supposed to kind of keep you on trajectory, as it were. And so, you know, the I don't think the mantelpiece should be locked in forever. I think it's a almost an organic unfolding almost evidence of what is maybe important to you in life, or what has helped you in life, or shaped some of your thoughts, or what is maybe not important to you as a person, but what's important to the family as a whole, or sort of what is culturally important, maybe not specific to any member of the family, but what is like almost a guiding principle, if you will.
Mhm.
So, the mantelpiece, if it's not shifting a little bit over time, it's telling.
And I think I agree with you. I think it is telling, but it's also has the hmm, I guess I'm thinking about having like if I had a bunch of medals or if I had a bunch of things that I could put up on the mantelpiece, right? I could put my kids' pictures or I could put up my family heirlooms. I could put those things up onto a mantelpiece and view them and enjoy them. But if I didn't spend a lot of time at home, like if I was out living an adventurous lifestyle or doing more races or looking for more um, tournament wins or whatever it is, more things to put up there, then I think that would gain a lot of dust before you even realize that, just because you were too busy to stop and like look at it. Anything?
Yeah, like it's a problem because now I don't think you're talking about the physical application of that. I think you're talking more almost metaphysical application of how much time should be spent kind of reliving the past, the glory days, kind of hanging out in the accomplishments versus ignoring the accomplishments and kind of pushing forward with no time to spare, as it were. I
Mm.
mean, unless you were actually talking about literal medals, which I don't think you
No,
were.
no, no. I was talking about the metaphysical side of it and the fact that we're there is a point to be able to look at accomplishments and have something that recognizes said accomplishments, but at the same time, you also don't want to just harp on it or hang on it or live on that concept. And belts in martial arts are a great example of this
Mm,
because a belt doesn't really mean anything. It holds your kimono closed, and that's what it's there for, really, to keep your jacket together. But the color of the belt has significance. It has blood, sweat, and tears, and effort, and all these things put into it, so that when you are recognized, it makes that worth it to a degree, right? It adds what's the word I'm looking for? I think you know what I mean, though. You tracking what I'm saying?
yeah,
Or
I am.
so I am asking about the metaphysical in terms of like how much effort do we put into that? How much time do we spend looking at our own accomplishments versus just smashing on to find new ones?
I think maybe the easiest way to answer it for me, to myself, and to anyone who asks me the same question, is you spend as much time as is required for you to then move on from that point. Because if if you are 100% good to go and you don't need to rest on or count on or hang on to your past accomplishments for whatever reason, if you just don't need to do that at all, but you're proceeding forward and crushing, then good. Forget about the medals. You don't have to spend any time looking at them at all. But, that's not common. And so, what can they offer? Medals or trophies or past accomplishments, things that make you feel like, man, I did something. Um, they're they're immensely valuable when you need them,
Mhm.
and you don't maybe need them for anything more than a minute or 30 seconds or 10 seconds or a day, whatever the case is. But you only need them when you need them and for as long as you need them, and then that's it. You don't kind of dwell in it day after day, the glory days of being the high school football captain. You can't spend your life living that past life, but for a glimpse, a quick, well, I did that. If that helps you move forward or kind of props you up a little bit that day, I see no harm in it.
Mhm. I was thinking about this a few days ago, and my boys were talking about something, and they asked me what I used to do or how that applied to the military, and it made me stop and really consider the amount of stuff that I did, like, and how very mm, abnormal it is from the average populace. But it can become so normal when you're surrounded by the same crew that you don't see it as uh, something to put on a mantelpiece, right? Like if you were surrounded by people who had all won an Olympic gold medal and you had won an Olympic gold medal, it becomes kind of like normal to
Yep.
for everybody to have gold medals. Like, okay, cool. But in comparison to the rest of society, it is a very elite small club. So it's kind of nice to have those when you have that recognition within it. But I find this very fascinating. And Dan C threw a comment on here and he said, yes, when the dust is growing on the mantelpiece, then life may have become stagnant at that last point. My mantelpieces have changed throughout my life and continue from a 3-inch shell to a wood bowl. And that's a beautiful point, too, is that, um, as you said, the mantelpieces can shift, they can grow, they can shrink, they can disappear all entirely. They can be completely mental or they can be fully physical. You can have shadow boxes on your walls, or you can have memories of friends versus physical interactions with them. I think that's an
Yeah, but
interesting
what
point.
does it mean when you don't have any of that?
It depends on what you're doing with really, I think,
Well, I mean,
because
obviously, if you're living in a tent for 2 days, you're not going to bring a mantelpiece with you. So
for sure.
let's stick to the norm, if you will. So what if someone doesn't have anything like that in their apartment or their whatever?
Well, I think from my experience, when I didn't have anything on a mantelpiece, it was because I hadn't done anything um, to brag about, I guess, for lack of a better term. I can't think of a better one right now. But when I put things on a mantelpiece, it's because I want it to be seen. I want to put it up. Similar to a tattoo for me is that like I I like the art. I want to see it every day. So when I put something on a mantelpiece, I want it as a touchstone that I can see whenever I need to. But if it's completely blank, then either you haven't done anything to put it up there, in my mind, or you're just so busy that you don't need anything up there to catch. What do you think?
I think it's a matter of not understanding the importance of having one,
Hmm.
or the value in having one, or what having one can offer you. And so that does tie back to maybe understanding generational importance. So 2, 3 generations back, standing on the shoulder of giants, that whole
Hmm.
routine, or just a small something from a farm from 2 or 3 generations ago that represents all the frickin' bonkers hard work that was required to put that mantelpiece in place where it is right then and there in that moment. Having a mantelpiece, I think, to me, it's less about um, glorifying anything or showing anyone anything that has been accomplished. I think it's more about uh, having a good sense of the past and kind of who you are and where you should be going.
That's interesting because the things that I keep from the past, like my granddad's medals or pieces from the ranch when I was little, or presents that I was given as a child that really mean a lot to me. I have them in a little box in my closet. I don't put them on display. Whereas the things that I do put on display are um, perhaps broader. They're not as personal, if that
Yeah,
makes
but
sense.
but the important distinction there is that you've already categorized that in your mind.
Mm,
So, the box that maybe no one gets to see has in your mind, you're calling it with all the important stuff in it.
mhm.
And so that's all that matters. That's the only distinction that matters is you have categorized what is important to you, and whether that gets displayed or not to me is unimportant. It's that you have already prioritized those things as they're really important to you. Now, if they go in a shoe box or they go in a shadow box, it's neither here nor there. That the display almost doesn't matter for the point
Mhm.
that I'm going to make in a sec. And so, same with if you would have decided to put those out on a mantelpiece, that would have a whole different, tangential story that isn't pertinent to what I'm about to say. Having for someone who doesn't have a mantelpiece, what a mantelpiece can do is kind of force you to make the distinction in your life as to what is and isn't important. And so
Mhm.
you've already done that. But you keep your important stuff in a box that goes up in the pantry or goes wherever, whatever, it doesn't much matter. But how how you just choose to display it is a different story than you having the distinction of what is important to you.
Mm.
And again, without sort of that amplifier, that thing that makes a person decide what is important to them, a mantelpiece will do it. You know.
Mhm. And, uh, eh, as well as that, not only is it important, and I'm thinking about my own mantelpiece right now, is the fact that I keep what's important to my past, like my personal past, off to the side in that little box, and I've designated that as my past importance, and then all my uh, immediate importance, all the things that are important to me right now in this moment, are up on the mantelpiece. So I have pictures of my kids and my wife,
Mm,
and those kinds of things,
current. Hmm.
current things, and then, but I don't have any future plans. Like I don't have any spots laid out for like when I do that,
Hmm.
I'm going to put it there. What are your thoughts on that? Being able to like clear a space or have a shelf ready for that next thing that you're going to do.
Well, I could. It might take me a bit of time to pull it up on my phone. I've got a photo on there, and I've actually put it up on the Instawebs
Mm,
once before. And jump in if this sounds familiar to you. But it was a photo of me, and it was when I was like a no hook private. I was in Calgary. There was a room. It was a room inspection, and so I'm in my dress uniform and standing next to my gray wool blanket bunk in the shacks. And on the cork board behind me is like a whole bunch of photos that I'd taken myself. And
mm,
they are from, we'd just come back from I say a tour. We just come back from Norway for a month, and I'd been doing some shooting, and I had a few things on the go at that time, which were quote unquote pretty cool for a private.
mm,
But what I had up there, and this is crafty, and I've said it. It was in a video that I was talking about this photo, and some of the young bucks who tracked me said, "Oh, that's so genius! I'm going to use it myself." So what the reason I had all those photos up behind me is because again, as a young buck, you're standing there at attention as the senior leadership is, looking for specks of dust under your pillowcase or whatever, man. So
yeah.
what I chose to do was put all these photos up to like get them to lock in on the photos. There was no checking anything on my bunk. There was nothing inspected at all. The moment they walked in, it was straight over to the cork board and started looking at all the photos. And inevitably, they'd see like some cherry wings, some um, non-Canadian Airborne Regiment wings, just some cherry wings. And the conversation would be about, but you're not qualified. No, I'm not, sir, but I'm gonna be, and that's the next course that I'm gonna
Mm,
take. So that's the angle I always went with. And so I'd lock their interest in with all the flash. Then inevitably it'd go to the bang, and then I'd get the interrogation. Then I'd shoot it back. I'm all about it. And so that's how I got. That's how I got my jump course so freaking bonkers early, man, because I
yep.
was always chirping about it. So, to your point, that was my mantelpiece at the time. And so the mantelpiece affected a lot of things, and it actually affected my future, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah. It's funny because I remember being asked by one of my instructors at one point in time, is like, "What do you want to do in the military?" And I was like, "I don't want to do anything. I'm going to be a combat engineer." And just that level of attitude back to him, that level of confidence, he was just like, "All right, we'll see." And then
Hmm.
the bang proceeded with a whole bunch of push-ups, and that I still managed to I managed to make it through. But the ability to mm, presuppose something that's already going to be done, even though you have no real understanding of how it's going to get done, it carries a lot of weight, and you can actually move forward quite well if you have that. But I think that the it's a good strategy for
Hmm.
for inspection. I think I've been distracted once or twice before on an inspection from somebody's photos that they've had up. So
Oh yeah, it's a class move, man.
very, very clever, very clever.
Hmm.
I had nothing. I basically ate the the inspections that I got. I got destroyed on a pretty regular basis. So
Oh man, I can't even explain how many times I got discombobulated.
yeah, it's fun. I have a fun story about that one that it there doesn't take a lot of time, but we were doing the sergeant major's inspection, and I had cleaned my room. It was immaculate, and the sergeant major walked in the room and he was like, "Did you sweep?" Like immediately, didn't even get into the room by like a foot and a half. He's like, "Did you sweep?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I did." He's like, "What is that?" And he pointed down, and there was like a 6 inch long green thread in the middle of the floor. He had very, I can't say this for sure, but I'm pretty sure he'd taken it off his own jacket and just like thrown it on the ground
Sure,
for the fun of it, right?
sure.
And but those things happen all the time, inspections. But to your point about foresighting these things within a mantelpiece, do you think that that is a useful tactic throughout life, or do you think that's more of a like a young man's game kind of thing when you don't really have
No,
any experience, don't have anything to put up there?
I still do it.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, it's like a active part of my life for sure.
Mm.
It's not that, whatever Tony Robbins sort of, if you can see it, you can be it, or whatever. I don't even know
Yeah.
whatever. That's sort of
Visualization.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, there's a whole industry that's built up around that sort of
Yeah.
snake oil stuff. But like if you use it right, yeah, for sure. I've been doing it all my life, ever since, I don't know, maybe right about that time that I kind of came onto this little scheme of, okay, I see how this all works.
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna get after it. And so, you know, it's it's not a case of does it work or doesn't it work. It's a case of do you believe it or don't you?
Mm.
Because like it why debate whether it works or not unless you believe it works or not? Because if you don't believe it works, then whatever, man. What else do you want to talk about? Move along.
it it makes it's an interesting thought because yes, you can visualize and you can make things happen, but I think this is where the disconnect for many people is. And I know for growing up with my mother, who's just basically still is one of the biggest hippies I know. At just you like if you believe it, it'll happen. And no, I think if you believe it, you can make it happen. But I
Well,
don't
that's the
think
key.
right.
Yeah.
So how do we bridge that gap for the people that just want to believe, or the people that want to make things happen but haven't made that connection yet?
Well, it really, personally, I think it comes down to one super simple ingredient, and that is, what's your priority on that? Why do you want to do that thing? Why do you want to make that change? Why do you want to affect that process? And you can believe whatever you want to believe, but to action it requires a priority, requires a purpose behind the action. And so from idea to action, that action will never happen, ever, unless there's a reason for it to happen. And the reason's right in your head. And that's, giving it a 1 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, whatever the case is. And the backstory as to why you're giving it a 6 out of 10, why you're going to bump it up to an 8 out of 10, all of those backstories, where do they come from? They don't come from the guy down the street. They come from right in there. And so, this little supercomputer is running it all. And so If someone sees a future and wants to make it become real, that requires action. And to get from here to there requires a priority that you're telling yourself, you're backstorying yourself, all the reasons why it's going to happen. And so, call it lying to yourself or convincing yourself or hypnotizing yourself, call it whatever you want. But you've got to sort of believe your own stuff, your own nonsense, and just do it long enough that the outcomes show up. And they do.
You got to buy into your own hype
Well,
for
it's
a
not
little
buy
bit. Like
into your own hype. I mean,
maybe a
you've
little
got
bit
to
you have
like
to.
you've got to commit to the path is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And you choose your trajectory, and that's the path that you're on, and you freaking march it.
Do you think then that the mantle serves as a way to perhaps easier action other new things, right? Like what I mean is if I want to do something and I look at it and I'm like, my priority's low because it's either perhaps too big or too hard or like it's so far beyond what I have been doing up until that point. Do you think that the mantelpiece then offers a little bit of like a shoulder to lean on, something that you can go, oh, well, I have accomplished this to help you recognize that you're capable of that unknown portion of time or that unknown achievement that you don't have any experience in?
Yeah, well, I think what it can do is it can bolster a person and
There,
have them
that's a good
believe
word
that
for it.
they are capable of doing that next leap, whatever that next leap is. But what I don't think a person should mistake or should be confused about is the trophy, whatever it is, the soccer trophy, which is a big deal, big accomplishment, gold mat, really proud moment. That soccer trophy ain't gonna get you to launching rockets to Mars.
Mm,
And so, because one represents success at the junior soccer league level, it doesn't represent success at the NASA level. And so, one is not the same as the other. And I think some people make a mistake there where, the mantelpiece is assigned as successes, we'll call it. But those successes have to be understood or as different looking levers. I mean, they're not all Thor's hammers. The grade 9 soccer trophy is not a Thor's hammer when you're 29 years old. It was good when you were like 13 years old. And so, that mantelpiece can't bolster you into an unrealistic expectation of, I won at soccer in grade 6, I'm going to win. I'm going to win on Mars.
but come on now, I we won state championship. Like, come on.
But you know what those uh, I call them smaller trophies, the grade 6 trophies or whatever the
Mhm.
case is. They're just an example of what you can accomplish if you put your mind to it with enough time.
Right.
And so in grade 6, though someone might not have wanted to be a great soccer player, they do recognize that enough time, like a year of soccer, enough practices, enough kicking that ball will produce an outcome. And so that's what a mantelpiece is. It shows you what outcomes show up when you give it some time.
Mm. I really like where this is going, and I want to hit another couple comments. Dan C jumped in here. He said, "They're the things that are important to me. Those are i.e., the things that go on the mantelpiece." And then he adds, "I may have kept lint in my pocket during my GLC for checking and correcting points. I think many of us did. Yeah, it's a good time." So let me ask you this then: are there any negatives? Because like we're talking, there's quite a bit of positives, lots of ways to use the mantelpiece well to help you kind of move forward. What are some of the negative pieces of the mantle that you see?
Yeah, I think falling in love with yourself,
Mm,
having some stuff up there, whatever it is, that is like quote unquote so impressive that you start falling in love with yourself, that you think that you can dial it back, or you got it made, or whatever the case is. And so I think that's a real, you know, danger, to be honest. I can see times in the past where I've kind of drank my own Kool-Aid to some degree. And so, I mean, I don't think anyone is immune to taking a moment and maybe not patting himself on the back, but thinking, man, I did all right. And so it's a matter of how long you do that. Every time you walk past the mantelpiece,
Double finger gun.
exactly.
It made me think of the concept of like a made man, like in the
Mm,
mafia,
mm,
right? And like that's that whole
interesting.
goal is like I'm gonna be the made man. I'm gonna be get to a
Right,
point that I don't have to do the grunt work.
right, right.
And I wonder how like there are a lot of gangsters that became made men that were supposedly untouchable and then got taken out very quickly, right? Like they did something wrong or they stepped over a bound or they didn't know what they were supposed to be doing because they were completely lax. And I wonder how much that concept applies to our own, perhaps not so much the physical mantelpiece, but like the mental mantelpiece, the things that you check the box on, like, oh, I don't need to worry about that anymore. Um, and I'm going to use a an old anachronism. The I You ever forget how to ride a bike? But I've seen people who haven't ridden many years and then jump on a bike, and it's not as easy as an uptake as you think it is. Um, and it can you can definitely forget how to ride a bike in my mind. What do you think?
I think you don't have to jump on the bike and be right back to level again. Um, I think I don't think anyone ever forgets how to ride a bike. Honestly,
Okay.
it might just take an extra 20 minutes to get it back up to the level that you were 5 years ago or whatever. But no, I think everyone remembers how to ride a bike, plain and
Unless you never
simple.
learned. I know some people that have never learned how to ride a bike and they're
Oh, for sure.
trying to learn as an adult. So,
We were in a little spot in Vietnam, and I watched it with an Italian couple, and the girl had never ridden a bike before. That was pretty apparent, and the boyfriend or whatever the case is was being like super like supportive, and she was having none of it, and it wasn't like pretty to watch either. And so like there was a little not a domestic, not even a minor domestic, but I mean it was tense, and so I got involved, and just tried to be helpful and tried to be encouraging and
mhm.
cheering and all of that good stuff. And so um, the reason that she was feeling awkward in that moment is because there were people around her
Mm,
that she didn't know. She was self-conscious, and she was feeling the moment, and that had less to do with her ability to balance a bike that apparently she'd never done before, and it had everything to do with the setting. And so, the old saying, you never forget to ride a bike. Well, not everyone learns to ride a bike the same way is also maybe a saying that should be out there, because there's many ways that you can learn, and some aren't great.
that's true.
So
I know I've been trying to teach my boys to ride, and they both can ride. But I know that when I first started teaching my oldest, I was not in a great instructional mindset, let's
mm,
say. And so now he has hesitation when he rides. He doesn't really
makes
want to break his
sense.
bike out, which makes sense. And
Yeah,
so the last couple of summers, we've tried to make it a much more enjoyable. Hey, we'll take the family out and we'll ride around the block, just have a good time, kind of deal. Um, but once they got it, once the boys are able to ride like on their own, they can get started and stopped and all that stuff. Um, it is lots of fun because I can
yeah,
run with them and I can do these things, but you got to be in the right mindset to teach someone how
for
to do that
sure.
because it can be very frustrating when people have never done it before and you're trying to like get a concept across without nitpicking all the little things that need to be done in the
Yeah,
meantime.
but you know what? It's ultimately whenever you're working with a beginner, and it's not going well, it's all on you.
100%.
Yeah. And they're
100%.
just a mirror of how much of a goof you are that day.
Yep. Yep. And whether or not you are actually explaining what you think you're explaining,
Yeah,
whether or not you're
it's just a
demonstrating
matter
what,
of how
yeah,
badly you suck that day is
exactly.
what
Yeah.
you're experiencing.
It's a level of suck, not a level of awesomeness, just a
That's
level
right.
of suck. I love it. Um, so I'm going to ask you now. Do you have any questions for me about the mantelpiece? Because I've been asking you tons of questions, but what do you
No,
think?
I've been trying to keep it at a sort of philosophical or
Mhm,
metaphysical level. I haven't asked you if you've got how many horseshoes are on your mantelpiece, and what was your favorite horse's horseshoe. I
mhm.
mean, there's lots of ways to take that, but I've just been trying to keep it high order, high level. So
As I
that's
think,
kind of where it belongs, I believe.
yeah, and that's where I wanted to keep it, is that there is a lot. We could talk about the physical piece, but that becomes so personal as to the physical space, but the metaphysical space or the philosophical space of our mantelpiece, whether or not we allow it to accumulate dust. Well, let me ask you that then. Do you let your mental mantelpiece accumulate dust, or do you dust it on a regular basis?
So I'm not a guy who focuses on upkeep in that sense. I'm
That's a good
just
way of putting
not.
it. I like it.
How a thing looks is often less concerning for me versus how it performs. That's
Mhm,
all I care about. I am definitely, function over form. And so, if something kicks ass and also looks decent, it doesn't have to look good because looking good is sometimes not great.
mhm.
So if it kicks ass and it's decent, that's money to me. So yeah, I don't really dust things off maybe as much as I should. I mean I don't even remember the last time I washed the car. That's been years, and I mean like years.
I
And
like to dust
maybe two or
myself off
three
regularly.
times. That's it.
I am a duster. I don't like having dust on things, and it
Mm.
actually kind of irks me when I see dust on stuff. So, especially things that I know I should be taking care of to begin with. So when like truck gets dirty, I go wash it. Even if I don't use my truck often, which we don't, um, I will get the truck washed on a pretty regular
Oh yeah,
basis to
I
keep
know
it.
tons of guys like that.
Yeah.
Tons. Yeah.
But I'm not to the point that I'm not hand washing it and waxing it outside in the summertime. I just recognize, like, if it's rained 4 or 5 times since the last time I washed it and it's just covered in actual dirt and dust, I'll go get a car wash.
Yeah, I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
I literally there's less things. I don't even know how far down on my totem pole that is for importance. Like almost zero.
I and so
I mean, again, our vehicle out there, which is probably I guess 6 or 7 years old, or whatever,
mhm.
might have been washed 2 or 3 times.
See, I look at it from a almost a maintenance point of view, in that I know when the dust accumulates and the dirt starts to accumulate, it affects the paint, which then allows rust to get underneath the paint, which that so for me, that's why it's in my head, and I it applies to my skill sets, my mental mantelpiece as well, because I don't like having stuff that I have to knock rust off over, that I have to take time to kind of rebuild. I like to have my skills available when I need them to be available, if that makes sense. So I pull out my bow, not on a regular basis, but enough times that I can actually still shoot. I
Mm.
do dry fire with my pistol every once in a while, just to keep the muscle memory there to knock that dust off, to shake it off, and then I can put it back on the mantelpiece and, like, know that it's there and know that it works, and oil it up and do basic maintenance, that kind of stuff, so that it's available without having to rely on the rust not falling off, if that makes sense.
Well, the only thing I will say is, when you do the math on how often you wash your vehicle,
Hmm.
in the amount of time, that's man hours
Yep.
that takes you to put your shoes on, go out there, drive to the wherever, do the thing, come back, take your shoes off, sit back down. Let's call it you burn 90 minutes doing
Sure.
that.
Yep.
And when you do the math over a year, how many minutes that is that I don't spend at all. I spend it on other aspects of my life
For sure.
that don't care about dust on paint. And so then I can take that time and actually apply it against skills that I am uh, concerned about. And so if you're focusing on skills, is washing dust off of paint. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Mhm.
misappropriation of skill time, as it were.
And so another part of it is, and for specifically washing the truck, I actually quite enjoy that. I find it a bit meditative to go to
Sure.
the
Yeah.
spray shacks and just like spray everything off. So
That's the most expensive yoga session you've ever had.
it's actually
Because it
cheaper than
ain't
yoga.
what? Come on now.
It totally is. I can spend 25 bucks to wash my car or less. And like,
25 bucks is insane.
it is now. Yeah,
It,
it used to
it
be
is
like
insane.
$2 you'd put into the loony thing and you'd be able to wash your car and
I
soak it,
remember
do
those
all the things
times.
are in. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, not anymore. It's
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous. Tennessee jumps in here, so for crap's sakes, now I realize I haven't washed my truck in more than a year as well. Gotta get them both waxed.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
think of the money saving. So several
Yeah.
$100s per year, easily 700, several $100 saved. And the amount of man hours, man, I mean, it's all upside by not washing your vehicle as far as I'm concerned.
To a degree, I think. And I'm not saying that everyone should be going out every week and like there's another piece of this is I know guys that are at the barber every week, right? They're
Yeah,
always
sure.
getting the trim and getting the thing and doing all that stuff. And I know there are guys that are constantly washing their vehicle or doing manual maintenance on the engine or those kinds of things. I'm not that far down the range, but when it comes to like jujitsu or martial arts or podcasting, like this is a regular occurrence for me that I'm doing all the time that I am spending man hours on um, to get better at. But in 15 years, 20 years, that might be down to once or twice a week. It might be not at all. It might like who knows where we'll be in that at that point in time for those particular skill sets. So I think there's in my mind, and this is why I'm going to keep doing it, but there's a benefit to maintaining or using maintenance time to do stuff that you don't regularly do on
Mm,
in that skill set.
mm, debatable.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
I
And
mean, come on. I mean,
what
it's not even a hard debate. I mean, there's just no way I'm spending you're probably looking at, you know,
I might okay,
300 bucks,
so
300 bucks.
I might wash the truck maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Oh, okay. So
Right,
you,
it's not
okay,
often, often.
you were talking more than that.
I just noticed, like, if it's been a number of weeks and it is dirty, then I will go out and do it. But
Yeah,
it
let's call
I
it 150 bucks.
sure. Let's say 200 even. Let's
Okay.
just push it a little bit.
200
Let's say
bucks.
200.
And you're probably looking at like 20 hours of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I see like so much downside to that. So much
Well,
downside.
what would you use your 20 hours for?
Well, maybe write a book.
Yes, yes, you'd be writing a book for sure. I'm not currently writing a book, so,
You
I
know,
mean, the
20 hours, you can do a lot of things with 20 hours, that's for
yeah.
sure.
Over the course of a year, though, that is I mean, yes, it's
Yeah,
20
and you
hours at
know,
a time.
so I see where it's going to go. So predictable is yeah, but like it's my namaste time. It's when I go chill. It's where,
Sure. Yep.
it's where I get inside. That's where I become myself. Whatever, man. Like you can do that for free doing other things. And
True.
so, you know, what what I think is using a car wash as a proxy to go and do whatever, whether it's work on a compulsion or work on a like a my me time or whatever. It's not about the car wash.
No,
Not at all. Not for any dude who's got to get his hair cut 3 times a week. It's not
for
about
sure.
the hair.
Yeah.
It's about something else that needs worked on right at the root. And so whatever that root issue is can be done for free typically and can be done in ways that are sort of growing rather than just sort of maintaining, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I'm
I
not
mean,
challenging you.
no, no, I'm
I'm just throwing
yeah.
it out there as a general thematic, if
Well,
you
and
will.
the proxy is the dust on the mantelpiece, right? That is what we're doing. Are we dusting it every day? Are we dusting it every 3 weeks? Are we completely forgetting about it and never touching it again? That the scale of that, where you find yourself on that spectrum of how often do you tidy up? How often do you go through the list? How often do you re-engage what you believe is important to you? Because yes, I know guys that are like every 2 weeks I have it scheduled in. I go and get my haircut every 2 weeks. It's on a Friday. I talk to my barber, Bill. He cuts my hair the same way. I've had it done for 40 years. That continual scheduling of importance of that piece is the allegory for everything else that he's doing in life, right? Like that haircut sets him up for the rest of the day, makes him feel good about himself, through the rest of the skill sets that he uses. Now, for you, the priority is not the haircut, but for other people, the priority is the haircut because it creates the environment that they can do the rest of the things in their life.
Maybe if they're giving that thought. Otherwise, it's
Yes.
just a
Yeah.
twitch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just an eye twitch. You know?
Hmm. It's a, it's like the ticks for somebody with Tourette's, right?
Yeah,
It's
correct.
it's a compulsion. It's just a thing they
Yeah,
do
and
without actually
and
thinking about
and
it.
it has no upside in a sense. You
Mm,
know, it's as again as I said, it's downside to me because it's time and money spent for something that has become autonomously non-associated with a net positive.
mm,
Like if we talk about the haircut, so every time I go overseas, I get a haircut, just one. And so, like, I'm getting kind of one haircut a year that I'm paying for.
mm,
Otherwise, I buzz it down myself, which I've been doing for decades.
mhm,
And so, this haircut that I had in, I guess that was in no, Ho Chi Minh City. Wrong. It was in Hanoi. Um, it was cheap as hell. And it was a great little experience.
mhm,
And it's just my once a year thing because I like to see what goes down in another country when it comes to a haircut. I just don't see the upside to going to the same barbershop and living that same life, week after week after week. I just don't.
mm. I think some people see it as a maintenance thing because if if I'm really into cars, and I know guys like this that's how they spend their time, right? I know people that spend their time on golf. I know people that spend their time on painting. I know people that spend time on podcasts. I know like what we spend our time on, as long as it is perhaps intentional time usage.
Well, that's my point. That was
Yeah,
my point.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, you, if you become an automaton, if you have like, if it's just the thing that you do on Tuesday that costs you 90 minutes and $25,
Hmm.
if it's just the Tuesday cost, every second Tuesday, the cost, and there's no real consideration as to the upside or the intention why you do it,
Mm,
then it is all downside.
mm. Yeah, no, I'm tracking with that. That makes perfect sense. So really, if we look at the mantelpiece as the proxy for everything else, then how often and I guess how often you dust that mantelpiece should be your signifier on the importance of of what you put up there
I mean,
to a degree.
what if a person's got 1,000 things up there versus a person who's got 10 things?
Mm,
And what is important to one person and isn't to another, and what is at what scale? And so, like, there's so many things to talk. What about the person who's got 27 little porcelain cats up there?
mm,
And now you've got to dust through that gong show. And then you've got like the person who's got 1,000 dinosaurs up there. How do you dust through that gong show? And
all the
then if
answers.
a person has got to take down all the dinosaurs to do some dusting, it takes half a day to put them all back. Like, what does that even say? Like, as to the importance of their maintenance, like it's obviously important that they dusted because they had to take down 1,000 dinosaurs. Like,
This is why when we were chatting about this, and I was like, we need to change the name from the gold mine to the workshop. I think this is why, is because this is what we talk about, is where when you step out into your own world and you start looking at all of the the glass cat figurines that are sitting up on your shelf,
For real.
right? Like, why? What importance have you placed on that? And the amount of space and time that those things take up in your life, do they get an equivalent amount of benefit to your life
I
rather
mean,
than
the
just
cat
time?
figurines may only be seen like when they're getting dusted,
Yes. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
Every second week they get noticed when they're being dusted.
Yeah. That's the hard part. How many glass figurines? That's what I'm going to ask the internet right now for all those that are watching. How many glass cat figurines do you have on your mantelpiece? And probably most people, I know I'm going to have to do a mental inventory. I'm going to have to take some time and be like,
I can tell you right now, I've got zero.
I know you have zero.
Guaranteed zero.
It's got no glass figurines of cats. There might be a glass figurine of a dog somewhere, but
Zero.
but I think this is a good question for the people that are watching, and for everyone in their daily life, is to like really stop and think about it. Do you have, what is on your mantelpiece? Is it things that help you live your life? Is it things that bolster you so that you can move forward to put something else there, or are they glass figurines that you're taking down to dust to put right back in the same spot to take up that space? It's a good question for the internet. You guys can think about it and put them up on the comments here. I got great gear jumped in here. Zero. He's got zero.
Zero.
Exactly. I like it. I got nothing else. You got any final thoughts on Mantle Dust?
No. No, I
No.
don't.
I like it. Anything to tell the world before we shut her down for the day?
No. Remind me again on the Friday.
Friday we have Garmin coming in. We're going to be talking
Right.
biometrics and how to use all the things and the rings and the watches.
Who's
And all
showing
that
up? Is
stuff.
it a super nerd?
Yes, we have a couple of super nerds from Garmin,
Nice.
and we're going to be getting into all the
Nice.
nerderific stuff. So
I
make sure you guys
love
are joining us
that.
for that one, because that is going to be a gooder.
Dense nerdery. That's great, man. If I had a propeller
Dense
hat, I'd wear it.
nerdery. That is amazing. I'm going to use that. I'm going to write that down. I have another great idea for other
Look at you,
merch
just
that we can put on.
the dense idea fairy.
Yeah, the dense idea fairy. I like it. I gotta write it down. Dense nerdery. Other than that, I got nothing else. I think it's just been super fun conversation. Good way to get back into the groove of it. And
Back in the groove. Speaking of back in the groove, you
yep.
came in all groovy, but how are you gonna go out?
Well, I'm gonna
Hey,
go up with this comment right here. Great Ed Gear. Love you boys. Big plans coming up. Stay tuned. Good to see you, man. Keep it working. Other than that, continue to learn. Build. See you all next week.
Chimo.
Thanks everybody for watching and being part of the collective. If this has sparked any thoughts or resonated with you, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us grow and keeps the conversation going. We'll see you all next time.